So you watched Last of Us. We watched Last of Us.
Yeah, of course.
Episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So was it to your expectation, or did you get let down? Or
Oh no! I mean, this thing hit it out of the park for me. Like, the fact that like after the fact, all the videos started coming out of like frame for frame shots of how good. Like they're matching the scenes like almost exactly. I mean, like to the motions, to the dude, just laying on the couch or just.
I said that to Nicole. I said that to Nicole because she's never played she never even seen me play the game. And I like when Joel was like laying on the couch and everything, I'm like, I had like nostalgia. I was like, dude, it's like almost like they have when they were filming it, they had the game like in the corner. And they're like just doing it frame for frame. I was like, every time they had a new scene, I'm like, that was in the game. That was the game. Well, she was like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, they're playing really good off the cuff with everything.
What's promising about it too is not only is it like they're doing like frame for frame shots, they're ripping it right out because let's be honest, Last of Us was one of the bigger games of our generation that really pushed forward the storytelling narrative of video games, of saying, hey, video games don't just have to be no shots to Call of Duty, but like Call of Duty doesn't hold a story or anything like that. So especially for games that don't have multiplayer and just kind of just tell their story and keep it contained. And it's like, look, multiplayer is great and all. Don't get me wrong, I like multiplayer, but some games should just tell a story and should form a bubble in that you go into when you're telling it. And I think Last of Us was one of our generation's big games that pushed that forward. And I think between The Witcher, so far we all know that there's some script controversy potentially coming. Last of Us, they're working on God of War, I think is being teased as like a show. And Fallout, which is my favorite game series. If you've listened to a previous episode, that was one of my top 5 game franchises. I think that the success of this show, especially for HBO Max, who needs new content right now, if this does well, which it's doing really well. I mean, HBO Max subscriptions are higher than they've been since Game of Thrones. Not to mention the sales of Last of Us games are up by like 375%. And so it's like, if they can show that there is money in sticking to the original content, this could usher in a new era of like, everybody's had a show, an anime, a game, a book that got translated into a movie that Hollywood producers are like, this is good and popular, but then I can't justify putting my name on it. So how do I change this to be my thing? And it's like, no, shut up and just give us the same thing in live action. That's all we want. I just want a frame for frame shot.
I was about to make that point, but I didn't want to cut you off. I was like, Netflix needs whoever decided with Witcher should sit down and like take fucking notes, because HBO Max is hitting it right on the head of that nail, where us as Last of Us fans are like, oh my god, it's just perfect. So good. It's so good.
And the thing is, Witcher is one of those games that, like, there are so many good games out there that you could translate into a TV show or I don't even want to say movie. I think TV is the perfect medium for these things, because they're games that are designed to be 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours worth of content. And it's like, well, that's a really good TV show. I don't want to cram it all into a movie, or maybe 2, but yeah, I think that this can show them that they don't. The thing is, it's like, it's easy. I mean, it's not easy. You still have to do all the things. But like, if you're a writing team, just watch the game and write down what they're doing.
I mean, like, we said it on our previous podcast. Like, we get watching a 2-hour movie, but a lot of these things are better in shows because you can tell a full story. If you're worried about telling a full story.
And with streaming, so many people are trying to attract people to their streaming networks now, and it's like, streaming for movies is great, but TV is what's going to keep your subscriptions, because these are monthly subscriptions. And it's like, oh, well, if I've got new episodes of The Last of Us coming out, I'm not canceling HBO. Or, you know, if The Witcher was doing well, I mean, it is currently doing well. It's like, I'm not going to cancel Netflix. We've got The Witcher. Like, and this is where, when they start to, like, that's why with the Witcher situation, it's so crazy to me, because they were doing it and were tremendously successful. And then they were like, wow, this is going really well. How could we fuck it up?
Yeah. And this is a side tangent type thing, as we usually do. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but like when it comes to like the work day, you go through work, blah, 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 you come home, you're exhausted. The last thing you really want to do, I love movies, but the last thing you want to do is put on a 2-hour movie and then not be able to finish it. And then come the next day, you're like, hey, do you want to finish that movie? Rather than when you could pop on a show, like, hey, we got to episode 5. Tomorrow we're going to watch episode 6 and 7. And then you kind of like get through that routine of your day with your spouse or family or whoever you watch TV with, and you're able to just absorb something and bond with someone with these shows, rather than like sit there for hours and hours or cut it at a certain point and then have to come back another day to watch a movie.
and I know people who will patiently wait for, like, I know people right now who are not watching Last of Us because they want to wait until it's done and then binge through it, which is like, at that point, then you have I think they're doing 9 episodes for the first season, if I remember correctly. Yeah, then you get a 9-hour Last of Us movie. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and see, I understand what they're saying, because I think I did that for what did I do that for? I think I did it for like either.
I went through Breaking Bad I waited until Breaking Bad was done, because everyone was like, it's amazing, and I was like, I want to know how it ends.
Yeah, I think it was Game of Thrones, and I was like, you know what? I'll wait for it to. Because I can't deal with waiting for the thing. But I don't know. I pulled the trigger on Last of Us, and I was like, I'm just doing it because I can't wait. Everyone was hopping on that wagon. And you know how the internet goes. Spoilers. And I was like, I don't want to be out of the loop and like just get spoiler alerts happening all the time. So
I was super mad back when... I know you don't really do the Marvel stuff as much as I do, but when She-Hulk was out... now, I already knew... So one of my go-to... like nerdy news sites is comicbook.com. They're really great at putting up news, putting up like all variety of nerdy news. So, you know, hey, Pokemon DLC leaks, or they also do pro wrestling, and I'm a big pro wrestling fan, so they'll put stories up there. The only problem is the internet has no chill. So like, if I can't catch it the day it comes out, I just try to avoid social media entirely. But especially like my nerdy site. So I was watching She-Hulk, and it was like the episode, it was like the finale, and for whatever reason we were like, I think we were out of town or something, and we couldn't get to it right away, and it came out on like Wednesday, and I just like dumbly didn't even think about it. I checked comicbook.com, and usually they're pretty good about being like, you know, they do that thing where they're like, I'm not spoiling it for you. And it's like, spoiler character dies in She-Hulk. And it's like, well, I know somebody. And then the thumbnail picture is of like, you know, a character. And you're like, gee, I wonder who it is.
Yeah.
But they didn't even do that. It like straight up said like, how to explain so-and-so's character introduction into the MCU. And I like, I commented on like the thing. It was like, yo, this is straight up spoiling the show. And it was like 9 a.m. on Thursday, and the show came out at like, you know, midnight on Wednesday. So it wasn't even a full like,
that's not even fair.
Yeah, like technically the episode drops Wednesday, and it was like Thursday at 9 a.m. and it was like full spoilers, and I commented and was like, I normally love this website, and I do. I think comicbook.com is great, but I was like, I normally love this website, but this is straight up a spoiler, not even in the article, in the header, so I can't even like scroll by without seeing a huge spoiler on your website, and that is like against nerd code of like, you give it 7 days before you start spoiling things. I think that is the universal policy, at least in my book, which is like, if an episode comes out on Sunday and then you get to the following Sunday, spoilers are now fair game.
Well, let me
But
talk about episode 2 of Last of Us. So what
yeah,
happens?
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just.
I haven't seen it because look, internet, I know. I get yelled at by my coworker who I sit next to. He's very mad because he wants to talk Last of Us episode 2 with me. I haven't seen it yet. It's been a busy week for Zach, okay? So
I even had to ask you.
We're gonna
I even had to ask you. I was like, "Hey,
podcast.
man," because I knew we were going to talk about Last of Us, but I was like, "Hey, man, you watched episode 2 yet? Because I don't know how far I can go with this."
About that. I haven't seen the first episode.
I was like, well, all right. Well, I know where we start now. We have a baseline. So
yeah, I was like, you're like, all right, I guess we'll just talk about episode 1, not episode 2. And I was like, yeah, thank you. Please don't say anything about it.
I thought that not only is HBO Max like hitting on following the story of the game, but the detail they put into the like overall background of the city, the buildings, just the overall apocalyptic type scenery that they put into
beautiful.
this show is beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah. I remember watching the first episode, and it is a post-apocalyptic game. Like, it's supposed to be run down and all that. And I'm watching it, and all I could think to myself is, damn, this is beautiful. Like, the set design, like, yes, it is run down and post-apocalyptic, but they nail it, like, on the head. Not only do they nail it, but they nail it based on the game, too. So, like,
yeah.
It is good in its own way, because they've added some stuff, but then they also are very true to the game. It's remarkable. I'm very excited. Sorry to cut you off. As we know, Fallout is one of my favorites. They're doing a Fallout show. Mm-hmm. A couple of the like set pictures, I don't know if they leaked or if they just put them on the internet, but it also looks very good. And I'm like, dude, thank you because Fallout is very important to me as a person. And so
it's supposed to be based off of Fallout 3, right?
I don't know. I hope so. That would be pretty great. I wonder. I don't think. I don't know. I don't want to speak on it, but it would be awesome if they like filmed in like the DC area for a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not too for sure. I just know that they were actually going to make it. So but I thought I read something where they was like thinking maybe it's a mix of like a bunch of things. Maybe they're like pulling from.
It could be like their own like. It's never been. They're not pulling it from the game. They're just pulling from the Fallout universe, which technically like they've dabbled throughout the different games. Even in like 1 and 2 was like I think California. 3 was obviously set in DC. New Vegas was obviously set in Texas. No, in Vegas. And then 4 was set in Boston. That's what it was.
New Vegas was set in France. It's
New
weird.
Vegas was actually set
New Vegas.
Mexico. Surprising.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's where the New Vegas is.
Trying to think of Last of Us. So when there's one scene that kind of stuck with me because they don't really hammer it home in the I mean, you kind of understand in the show, but like when the little girl was like shuffling, or the little I don't know, I'm not.
Oh, like the kid.
The kid was shuffling in, and then the police like pull her, and then they're like, "Here, kid, here, we're gonna get you some food and water." And then they test her, and then they find her negative. And then I kind of knew what that meant in my back of my mind, but I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna like maybe there's a cure. And then all of a sudden, like Joel and them are dumping bodies, and then spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it, don't watch this episode.
Yeah, it's not like it's not instrumental to the show. It's just something to world build.
But then you see spoiler. Like where she's like, I can't do it, and then he's like, we got a job to do, and Joel like drags the little kid's body. I'm like, oh, and my wife was like, they killed her. I'm like, yeah.
Well, it's so funny because Bryn, my wife, and I were watching the first episode. I thought because they test her and it's red, so I thought it meant like no, she's good. Like to me, red meant like red meant no, she's not positive for the spores or whatever. And then she was like, we're gonna get you as many toys and as
that's
much
what threw me off.
And I was like, wow, what a nice guard.
Yeah, it threw me off.
She was still doing a kindness to this person, but or to the kid. But like, then I saw the shoes, and I was like, oh my god, she died. And Bryn was like, yeah, she tested negative. And I was like, yeah, she tested negative. And she was like, yeah, like she's not healthy. And I was like, Oh.
See, like when like when they threw me off when she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you some nice toys, get you a meal, some what?" I'm like, "Oh, good." I'm like, I'm glad she found
take
like
care of
a
the
place.
kid.
And then they pull out the syringe. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, what is that?"
I thought they were so they like injected her, and I was like, oh, they're just like giving her like
Vitamins.
stuff, like doctor stuff.
Yeah. So Zach, red means no goat. So don't go through stop signs.
Red means bad.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Trust me, I was thrown off too. I was like, red. I was like, oh, well, whatever. And then the next scene where Joel's like taking, I'm like, God damn it, dude. I was like,
I know those shoes. Oh no.
Yeah,
they're throwing her in the fire.
Yeah. But the acting in it is so good, man.
Also, yeah, shout out to Pedro Pascal on that.
Dude.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. Dude, he's got a lot of people gotta step up to his level, man.
Right? Like, he's in Star Wars. He's in
Star Wars.
Last of Us. Not only, okay, so he's in Star Wars, and what's the other one he's in? I can't remember. Is it Marvel? It's not Marvel. There's another, like, big franchise he's in.
He was in Wonder Woman as
was
a
he
main
in Wonder
villain.
Woman?
Yeah, he was in the second one as a main villain.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen the second one. I watched the first one, and I enjoyed it. Ares. Hooray. I'm, like, Googling him now. I'm so unprofessional.
But even...
Yeah, he's in Star Wars as the Mandalorian.
Right.
Game of Thrones. That's what it is. He was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Dude, how did I not remember that?
And now he's like heading an entire new franchise. Because here's the thing, they could totally just go through Last of Us. They have Last of Us 2, which I think I haven't played Last of Us 2. Please don't kill me.
I haven't either.
Cool. The internet will do it. But I'm pretty sure there's a significant time skip there, and they could just skip the time skip and just keep going with the show and like fill in that gap. And it will be a very interesting test if they do that, because at that point they're not pulling from source material anymore. They're just fan writing, and it'll be interesting to see if like it does the anime thing where like when it comes off book, it's like, oh, it's not good anymore.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we're not right. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I have a lot of faith in this franchise.
To his acting chops, though, I mean, from Game of Thrones, where he was like an eccentric, warrior who was, he slept around with everyone, to Mandalorian, where he was so like reserved and quiet, and then now he's like not kind an asshole, but he's just been through some shit, and it comes off on him, like he just wears his heart on his sleeve type of thing, but he's like just damaged goods.
It's crazy how well he embodies Joel. Like, I don't see him, I see Joel. I mean, I see him, but like, okay, so like, here's a good example. There's a game that a lot of people that I saw on TikTok that I really like, and I play it with Brent all the time, called Actor or Movie Star, where it's a pretty easy, so like Tom Hanks, actor, because he's not just like The Rock, movie star. He does the movie thing. He's very like razzle dazzle, made for the red carpet. But when you get him on camera, he's The Rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not getting a huge in-depth performance from The Rock. It's The Rock. He's being The Rock in every movie. Whereas Tom Hanks, when I watch Tom Hanks, to me, Tom Hanks is like the epitome of like an actor who transforms for every role that he's in. And even though I know it's Tom Hanks, I quickly lose that. I quickly am like Forrest Gump. You're like, that's Forrest Gump. It's not Tom Hanks. It's Forrest Gump. If you've seen that movie Elvis, the manager that he plays, same thing. He just embodies, even when he's just playing like a more generic, like in Sully or any of the movies where he's just kind of more generic man, he still finds a way to give it uniqueness. He's in that new movie where he's like kind of the like grumpy boomer character. Same thing. It's Tom Hanks, but it's not. And so I like to play that game. Pedro is one of those guys where he's, I would say, actor, not movie star, because you quickly lose that it's him, and you just kind of see his face, but then the character becomes the character.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, when he does embody Joel, like I know what Joel looks like in the game, but like now I'm just like, that's Joel, because like he just has those, like he must have. I think he even said in an interview that like he played the games to kind of study for the role, but he sucks so bad that he kind of like
that he
passed
couldn't
it
get
off
very
to
far.
his yeah. He's like I kind of got the idea on how I'm supposed to be and throughout the game and or what the concept of the show is to get in this role, but it was pretty funny. He just does so well, man, and I'm so excited.
Also, the girl who's playing Ellie, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, who's also from Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
She was one of the wonderful.
Yeah, she was one of the royal. She was like one of the head of the houses. Like she led one of the.
Yeah,
families.
she was the head of the bear. I just remember bears.
But
it was like
Beaumont?
one of the North Kingdoms.
Beaumont, I think. But something like that. I think so. Don't hate me, Game of Thrones. I love.
You could say anything. You could be like head of the Flagegi home, and I'd be like, that's not right.
yeah.
But, totally.
Dude, she sticks pretty. Dude, I forget how like Ellie goes off the cuff and starts cussing and doing random shit in the show, and then when she starts doing the show, I'm like, God damn, was she really like that in the game? I'm like, oh yeah, she was.
When I played the game, I was like, yeah, like she doesn't know what's happening to her. Like, gotta explain it. You gotta be a better adult to her because she doesn't know what's happening. In the show, I'm like, you're mouthy.
I know.
Very disrespectful. Maybe I've just grown up significantly. Like, when you're like, okay, like, so I'm 30, you're 30-ish. Like, or I'm actually 33, almost 34.
You're 30.
So,
yeah.
I stopped counting after 30. But, like, when you're hanging out with, like, 40 or 50-year-olds and you're like, yeah, adults. I'm a kid. They're an adult. And then I don't know if you've hung out with, like, an 18-year-old lately, but, like, my wife's sisters are, like, 20 and 17, and like occasionally we'll hang out with them and I'm like, unruly hooligans. Dude,
isn't that weird?
They're like,
isn't that weird? Like when we were young, when we were young, adults were like, God, you're such kids, blah blah blah, and now we're like, God, I hope I'm never like you. Now that we're older, we're like, dude, because I mean, where I work, and there's young 20-year-old people, like 18-year-old people.
Let's go to the
like,
club.
They're so loud. I'm like, God, why are you all so loud? Why is it when you get older you hate things that are loud?
Why are you so happy? You shouldn't be happy. You should be tired. Let's go take a nap.
Yeah.
No, every time.
Fucking
like,
Bryn's
sister she's 20. She's in college right now, and so she's in a sorority, and like she posts pictures of like sorority stuff, and I'm like, that looks fun, and exhausting.
I was about to say exhausting, yeah.
I was like, that I wish I had enough energy to get out there with you kids. Like
my wife
God.
was sometimes just like, man, I really want to go out dancing and like go to the bar. I'm like, oh God, I don't. I was like, we've been there. I was like, we've done that.
Let's put on some lo-fi in our house and we can just kind of sway back and forth.
Yeah,
order
don't
Chinese
you just food. That's just want to just stay in and not do anything.
Right. Do you want to watch F1? That'd be great.
Yeah, and she's like, you're right. What was I thinking?
What you got to do is you got to do it once, and just let her be exhausted and like have her come to it on her own. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, you're gonna no spoilers, but you're gonna love episode 2 even more.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have nothing but faith. After the first episode, it would take a lot to mess this show up. They're on such a good pace, and like they've obviously shown that they have a lot of love for the source material. I think that it's gonna be a home run. Like it just is. It already is, like it's gonna continue.
So I don't know if you noticed, but in the ending scene of episode 1, when they had the lightning, you see the flashing of the city. Did you see the clicker, dude?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I saw he's like he's Batmaning on top of the roof, and he's like, and I was like, he's like, you guys might want to watch out for that.
Yeah, dude. The city landscape though, when the lightning was striking, I'm like, dude, that looks exactly what the game looks like.
It's again, they've shown so much love to this show. I pray that Fallout gets this kind of treatment because it's going to be phenomenal if they do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay,
and
here's a fun question for you. Let's say you have a Last of Us, Game of Thrones $1 billion budget, and you can take any game franchise that has not already been translated into a different form of media and turn it into a a new show, streaming service show, not movie, but show, what game would you translate into a TV show?
Game.
I guess it doesn't technically have to be a game, but it does. I mean, we're doing theme podcasts here. We're professionals, okay?
No, I like that idea. A game's a good idea. Well, they already made Halo. To be fair, Amazon needs to work better on their Halo series.
Yeah,
Master Chief wasn't really Master Chief to me.
There was a really great meme. I'm sure I've seen a bunch of them, but the first one I saw was for Halo, where it's that meme where it's like a dad and a kid, and it's he like slaps him on the back of the head, and he's like points to The Last of Us, and it's the like halo over the kid's face. The dad like slaps him. He's like, "That's how you do a TV show, a game to TV show, right there."
Yeah. I know you don't play fighting. I really would love to see a Street Fighter live action show. Because later on because Street Fighter actually has like comics.
Didn't they make a movie that was really bad? Street Fighter. Like twice.
They did make a live action ones, but the animated movies are really good.
I'm talking live action.
Oh no, yeah, they did make live action ones, but they weren't that great.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying like there's source material where there's comic books and like graphic novels they could pull for Street Fighter. And make it a live action movie. Show, and it would be. I think they could make it really good, especially with you have a big bad of Bison, who's the arch nemesis of everything, or you got Akuma, who's Ryu, the Ryu's uncle, essentially. So I think if they made a Street Fighter show, and especially with CGI how it is now, they could make it look tight, dude.
Yeah.
Especially, imagine choreography, though. Imagine choreography they could do with fight scenes.
Yeah, give it like... Did you ever see Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, man. It's one of the Marvel movies that came out like
no.
phase 4, and it has like Jackie Chan level choreography. It's very good. It's very good.
So if you would have to pick a game, what would you pick?
Okay, so the problem is that my default answers have already been scooped up, so I'm not doing... God of War and Fallout are the first two that just ping right into my brain.
Right.
I know they're doing a Dragon Age, or have done the Dragon Age like animated streaming show. I think the only one that I can think of to go live action that hasn't already kind of been scooped up, at least off the top of my head, is like an Elder Scrolls series.
That'd be tight, dude.
Because there's some heavy lore in there, and really you can just play off of like a Lord of the Rings style show. Dragonborn, unveils the power, meets the Greybeards, all the good stuff. And I think it would be very good. The only potential hang up I see there is like games like Last of Us, Fallout, God of War. They all have like a pretty definitive storyline moving forward. Not that Elder Scrolls doesn't, but part of Elder Scrolls is like the let's wander around this giant open world and figure out like random side. Oh, my uncle's stuck in this cave. Go help him. And then there's Drower and zombies and stuff like that. So I think that they could certainly. I don't think they would have any issue with it, but I think it's much better when it is a game that has like that definitive story like through. I guess the issue is that it has a shelf life. I didn't really think about it, but Last of Us 2, we talked about how they could bridge the time gap, and I'm sure they could find ways. But it'll be interesting to see if they are willing to stop. Michael Jordan stop on top.
Well,
don't ride it into the ground.
I thought of another one. What if? I mean, they already made a movie, but what if they made an actual Uncharted series?
Yeah, I think that would be really good. The problem is that the Uncharted
pull the voice actor too, like the actual voice actor for Nathan Drake.
Just get freaking Nolan North to live action him. He looks like him.
He looks like him. He already sounds like him. So
right.
I mean, when he had the cameo at the end of the movie, I was like, "That's Nathan Drake, baby."
Yep, that's the real guy right there.
Yep.
It's interesting too. I actually read an article today that was that Naughty Dog says that they're moving away from the Uncharted series game wise.
I saw that too.
They wrapped it up. I know you gave me your copy of Uncharted 4 like a while ago.
Yeah.
I never played it. I have not played it. I
Son
don't
of a
think I own it.
bitch.
I think I gave it back. I think you were like, can I have it back, please? You have it.
Oh, that's right. I do. It's probably
You're
somewhere.
like,
It's probably
you're
in
like,
my
hey,
bed.
it's been 3 years. Can I have my copy of Uncharted 4 back? And I was like, I haven't played it. And you're like, that's on you.
You know why though? Because I went through it and Uncharted, like I craved it, so I played through the master remaster of all the 1 through 3.
1 through 3.
And then I was like,
I was so mad they
yeah.
didn't put 4 in there because I was like, I'll buy the whole remaster if you put 4 in there, but I've played 1 through 3.
Yeah. I mean, if HBO, hey HBO Max, you want to do Uncharted too?
I'm just saying, it doesn't even have to be different from the movie. It can be a continuation of that franchise / just be true to the game and be like, yeah, well, the Uncharted movie was like a prequel to the games.
Yeah, he's
this
older
is
now.
just the normal stuff. He grew up.
Yeah, grew up. Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one that there's. I can't really think of anything else. That
I know, I'm racking my brain for games that I know have like a solid like story from beginning to end where like it tells a story and then it's done. It's not like, oh yeah, there's a ton of post game. Like, no, you play the game and that's pretty much it. But has like a really good story. If they had the budget for it, which they don't, it would just be too much money. Horizon Zero Dawn would be a really good one, and that would stick with that whole like PlayStation turned game. They've been doing a lot of Sony projects.
Yeah. Okay, let's branch out a little bit. What would be like an anime you would want live action?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It would be this is how jaded
What?
I am as an anime fan. I'm like, it would be good, right? Like it would be actually
Yeah.
good.
No, they follow the source material. They don't stray. They actually stick to like. I would even give you the fact that like the stunt crew, like the people who are like acting whatever aren't even voicing the characters. They get the actual voice actors to dub over it.
I think that would be messier than it's worth, but and I'm a voice actor who's like, that's not worth it.
All right, fine. I take it back.
It's so, and this would be a show, not a movie, right?
Show you.
Okay. So I'm currently, I think we've talked about this. I'm currently going through One Piece for the first time.
Yes. You have a long journey to go.
My knee-jerk reaction is One Piece because I think it tells really good, but in the fluff. There's 1,000 episodes. There's fluff in here, but I think that at its core, it tells a really good story of friendship, of individuality. Okay, let me spew my One Piece happiness here. I'm really enjoying One Piece because it is. So like normal pirate crews, because they're a pirate crew. Normal pirate crews have like the captain. You've seen movies. It's a captain, a first mate, and then insert 50 crewmen here who don't matter at all and will die inevitably. These are like, as far as I am, I know that there's more that'll be coming. Approximately, I don't know, 6 to a dozen people who are gonna eventually be on this ship, and the whole thing is just like. We're not a traditional pirate crew. We're basically people who are pursuing dreams at the same time and the same place. So, like, one of them, Zoro, his goal is to be, like, the best swordsman in the world. And as a result of that, he is like, well, if I adventure with you, then I will get to do things that normal people wouldn't get to do, and it'll sharpen my skills over time because I'm doing a bunch of crazy stuff that doesn't normally get done. Stuff like that. And it's like, you've got Luffy, who's the main character. He wants to be the king of all pirates, find the One Piece. Hey, look, the name. They all have like their own motivations. And then it's like, but at the same time, I trust you and I'm going to let you do, like, there are many times where it's like, hey, I got this, just go. And they're like, okay, we trust you. And then they go. And like, it's very well balanced. And so I like the dynamic of it very much. And so I think if they had an unlimited budget, I don't even know if $1 billion would be enough, but if they had there's a lot of like anime stuff that happens where it's like, the main character has like gum powers, so he like stretches and
Stretches
for those
and
who don't watch anime, that's like, think of literal bubble gum. He can like make his body inflate and do stuff. And I just think it would, if they had unlimited Marvel level budget for like, hey, we can do whatever we want, then that would be it. That would be the one that like, well, that's my knee jerk reaction, but I'm gonna go with my knee jerk reaction. I think Full Metal Alchemist would make a really good show.
You son of a bitch!
Did I take yours?
Yes.
I know how much you love Full Metal Alchemist. Brotherhood.
You know, the reason why I choose Full Metal because I haven't cried good in a while, so I want to watch something that will make me cry live action on a TV. Okay,
dude, let's be raw and vulnerable on this podcast. What is your go-to if you're like, as a dude, I don't cry very easily. I do. It just it takes a lot, or I have to be like blindsided by like a panic attack or something. Actually, my panic attacks I just go, and my brain turns off. But if you need, sometimes you need that good cry. You need a good deep sob. What is your go-to make me cry? It's like, hey, I can't get there on my own, so I need some assistance. What do you watch? What do you go to?
This might sound weird, but I watch Friday Night Lights, the football show.
Okay, I never watched it.
One of my favorite characters, his name is Matt Saracen, right? Short synopsis of who Matt Saracen is. He's like the second string quarterback, turns first string because first string quarterback has blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go into it because it's a really good show. You should watch it. But Matt Saracen reminds me of myself because he lives with his grandmother and stuff like that. So, like, anytime his grandmother's having issues and she talks about how she's his favorite boy, blah, 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 and it reminds me of me and my grandmother, so it makes me cry every time.
It hits you right in that very specific spot.
I don't know why. Well, of course, I know why. I love my grandma. Love you, grandma. But it's just when that scene happens every time, it just triggers something in my brain, and it makes me like tear up and kind of sob a little bit.
Yeah.
God, I'm such a loser.
No, man, we're promoting positive masculinity right now.
All right, fine.
Okay, mine, because of course, I ask you so I can answer. That's what we do. I have 3 off the top of my head that can get me.
Okay.
Number 1, if I want to be quick and efficient about it, it is Homeward Bound. The end of Homeward Bound. Have you seen Homeward Bound? It's like the 1990s about like 2 dogs and a cat that belong to a family, and then they get separated.
Never seen it.
Oh my god, dude. It is... Okay, so like, spoilers, but it's a 35-year-old movie. So the pets get separated from their family, and then they trek across the country through like the wilderness, mountains, canyons, and everything like that. And there's 3 pets: a cat, a young dog, who's like full of energy. I forget what kind of dog he is, but it's somewhere between like, I don't think he's a lab. I think he's like a pit. But he's like not a full pit. Anyway, and then the third one is like a older golden retriever.
Okay.
And towards the end of the movie, spoilers, I'm warning the internet, spoilers.
Now I can't watch it.
Towards the end of the movie, the older dog who's been like this, like, older, wiser, influence,
he finds his family.
They're like almost home. They're literally like, hey, it's over that hill. We just have to pass this train track area. So then it's not that bad. It's not, he doesn't get hit by a train.
Okay.
There's like a boarded up hole, and they fall into this like muddy, slippery hole, and it's like wet. So he like the golden retriever falls in. The other dog, Chance, goes in and is like, "Hey, you can get out. It's fine. Like, you can get out." And he's like, "I fell on my leg weird." And then he like tries to climb up, and it's like mud, so he's like sliding back down.
Oh my god!
And then he's like, just go. My time has come. I'm old. I just wanted to get you guys back home. All you have to do is go over that hill, and you're home. Just go. And it's like devastating. Okay, so that's the like warm up where I'm like, it's like right here, and then they like the family's like sitting in their yard, and they're like, I miss our dogs, I miss our cat, like I wish we could find them, and the Chance, the dog, comes over the hill, and the kid's like, Chance! And he, like, runs up to him, he hugs him. By the way, there's 3 kids, and the pets belong to each of the kids. So there's an older kid who has the golden retriever, the mid kid who has Chance, the other dog, and then a girl who's got the cat, Sassy. Her name is Sassy. So Chance comes over the hill, the middle tier kid. I don't know his name because he's the middle child. And... you know, Chance comes over and he's like, Chance, oh my God, what are the odds? You know, and then Sassy comes over the hill and the girl's like, Sassy, oh my God, Sassy. And you're like, Shadow. And the oldest kid's like, Shadow? And it's like, and he's like, you know, the family like puts their arm and he's like, it's okay. He was old. I knew that there was a chance that blah, blah. And then Shadow comes limping over the hill. He was able to get out of the pit, and he's like, it's Shadow! And they like run up, and he's like, oh, and they have voiceovers for the dogs, so he's like, oh, my boy, and I'm like, every time, I'm like, Golden Retriever, he got out of the hill! Like, it cuts to me every time. Like, dude, just thinking about it, I'm fucking tearing up. The other 2 that I have is Scrubs. There are several episodes of Scrubs that will get me every time, including the episode with Brendan Fraser, where there's 2, and I don't want to spoil them, even though, you know, I've already spoiled one thing. I'm not going to spoil another. But there are several episodes of Scrubs, including the...
to be fair, if you haven't seen Scrubs yet...
I know, you really should. It doesn't... There are some episodes that don't hold up comedy-wise anymore. Mm-hmm. There's some homophobia in there, there's some transphobia in there, but on the whole, that show rocks. It is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I rewatch it once a year.
Especially, me too. Especially it's 2 buddies, man.
Yeah, dude, it's 2 besties. God. Like it gives. It's so funny for a show that also like sometimes doesn't hold up because of like homophobic jokes and transphobic jokes. It is also really, really positive masculinity, and like it is okay for JD to not be like the boy, you know, the like
because like I mean, like his mentor Cox is kind of like the man's man type of thing, like the old school man.
Yeah, and his buddy is like the typical like sports bro.
Yeah.
But also he's a sports bro, but also he's a lot like JD in that like they just, I mean, they have a whole episode called Guy Love, or like the song called Guy Love.
Yeah, Guy Love.
It's Guy Love between two guys. I love the line. You're the only man who's ever been inside of me. And he's like, whoa! I just took out his appendix.
They don't need.
You don't need to explain.
I don't. He's like, I don't.
He's like, yes, I do.
I love that show.
I love that show. So yeah, the my first birthday about Dr. Cox's first birthday with his son, but then there's a twist ending and it's very sad. That one gets me every time. The episode where like the 3 patients get transplants and then it turns out they had rabies. Spoilers.
Rabies. Yeah.
That one gets me where Dr. Cox,
especially when Dr. Cox is freaking out, like
it's just
so
him
upset.
It's such good raw emotion, and that one gets me. And then what's the third? Oh, there's a series. So one of my favorite books by John Green is Looking for Alaska. It's a good book. It explores like teenage life very well and very accurately. It's something John Green does very well. But it's also, spoilers, it's sad. There's a twist about halfway through, and it's very sad. And it's basically like how they cope with a very sad thing. And it's the actors, dude. So here's the thing. John Green had that book. It was one of his first books. Somebody bought the rights for it to turn it into a movie, and then they just didn't. They shelved it. Happens all the time. Sad, but it happens all the time. Then he wrote The Fault in Our Stars. They did a movie for it. Blew up. Very popular. Again, a very sad book / movie. And so then it was like, okay, well, let's get more John Green projects. They did another John Green book, Paper Towns, which is also phenomenal. And they turned it into a movie, did pretty well. So they were like, okay, when are we getting Looking for Alaska? And like the movie studio who has it, what are they doing? Well, the movie studio ended up selling it to somebody who sold it to Hulu. So Hulu made it a series, like a short mini series. It was like, I think 8 episodes, and that was it. And it is phenomenal. Not only was it was one of those things where it was like, you know how we talk about like fans writing things for the things that they're fans of. It's the reason Kevin Feige
Right.
is so successful at Marvel, because he's such a big Marvel fan. Whoever wrote this
Right.
did great, because they expanded it. They wrote more things into it to give it more episodes. And it was phenomenal. I know they consulted with John Green on it, but I know he also said, like, they came up with ideas that I hadn't thought of that worked really well. And the acting on it is just so good, and it's so raw, and it's so emotional. That one will, without a doubt, make me cry, without question. So those are my three, like, if I'm feeling like I just need to get it out, get the toxins out, and, like, just let it out, man, I'll just crank one of those guys on.
Going back to Scrubs real quick, especially when Cox is talking to Brendan Fraser's character, his brother-in-law, and you can, like, he's not even on screen that long, but, like, you can see, like, the connection between, like, that's how good the acting is in this show.
Well,
like,
and they did such a smart move, which is Dr. Cox is generally a gruffer, serious character. I mean, he's got comedy because it's a comedy show, but, like, he's the, like, tough football coach mentor type character.
Right.
And so to have the relationship he had with Brendan Fraser's character, which was very relaxed, very friendly, very, like, bro-y, and Dr. Cox barely likes anyone. So to have a character that he was genuinely attached to was such a smart move for where they were leading it. And they didn't even, it wasn't even the first episode he was in. He was in, like, an earlier episode, and then they brought him back.
Yeah, and then, like, when the episode, though, they do it, the writers did it so well, where you just assume he's going throughout his day, right? Like, he's doing his thing, blah, 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 because Brendan Fraser keeps popping up. And then at the end of the show, where he's, like, all of a sudden you see him in a suit, he thinks he's, like you said, like, he thinks he's going to his son's.
Where do you think we are right now? That line
and then
breaks
JD's
me.
like, where do you think we are right now? And you see him in the, and then he snaps too, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm at a cemetery because I'm burying my best friend. I'm like, God damn it, dude! They got me too, dude. I was
because
done.
it comes out of nowhere.
Dude.
The first time I watched that episode, I was devastated.
Yeah,
it was so well set up. It was so well set up. They totally pulled a what's the movie? Sixth Sense, where, like, you
like M.
don't
Night
realize
Shyamalan ending.
they Shyamalan it. And
yeah,
and you just don't see it coming, and it blindsides you. And even now, knowing that it's coming, it blindsides me. Like, I see it coming, but I'm like,
and much love to Brendan Fraser, man. I'm happy that he's back in Hollywood and doing movies.
Can we take a minute to just talk about how amazing it is that he is able to come back, and that his career is reflourishing, and he's getting recognized for being the tremendous actor? Because again,
I'm a huge Brendan Fraser fan, man.
Dude,
I missed him in movies, man.
Yeah, like, we have Brendan Fraser. If by any chance you see this or hear this, we've missed you. Like, I'm so glad you're back, man. Like, it's like getting a piece of my childhood back, and you can tell anything I see him in, he's so humble and kind and gentle, and that's just, that energy, you just don't get that at a lot of other places. And you can tell he's just happy and feels blessed to be where he is. And, like, I know a lot of people say they are, and I'm not saying that they're not, but it almost feels like he doesn't.
You can feel it. You can feel it when he says it. It's like, you like how I see what you're saying. Like, when some actors are like, yeah, I'm blessed, I'm blessed to be here. Like, you're like, okay, cool. But when he says it, it's like pierces you. You're like, dude, I can tell.
You know what it is?
Like,
it is the tone of a man who's had it and lost it and then got it back. It's I was watching, I forget where I saw this. I think it was the Two Bears podcast. Anyway, somebody was talking about how, like, if you have something, like, when you're very famous or very successful, sometimes it doesn't feel real because your brain doesn't know how to process it. And then when you lose it, or if you step away and now all of a sudden you're sad because you don't have it anymore, in reality, your brain is just able to process what it was like having it. And now that you don't have it, your brain's like, oh,
right.
Got it. So for Brendan Fraser, who, I mean, we're not going to go into his personal details. If you want to Google through what happened to him, like, you can.
Yeah.
But for a guy who had it basically taken from him to be back and to have that spotlight again, and to show that he is a tremendous actor. And I mean, he did a lot of comedy stuff, and he's great at comedy. He's a very funny person.
Very funny.
But to be able to like stretch his acting muscles with the whale. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen a lot of clips from it, and he kills it, man. I'm so happy for him. If you don't like Brendan Fraser, you can fuck right off.
Yeah, if you don't, it really kind of like it's interesting. If you don't like Brendan Fraser, like you might want to like reflect on yourself a little bit.
Yeah, like you should look inward at that point.
Yeah,
because it's you. You're the problem.
Yeah. So I wanted to get into something interesting, and I want to get your opinion on it.
Sure.
I know you strictly stay. You love DC. You love comic books in general. We both do. But I know you hammer home a little bit more Marvel than DC, and I kind of like sway more DC than Marvel. But I saw something today where it says it was an article where James Gunn is not afraid to cast Marvel actors in his new DC films. And I was thinking, man, that's a possible change of the guard type of thing, like if he starts pulling people from Marvel over to DC. But I want to ask you this, because I wanted to tell you how I felt about it. Should he even bother doing it, or should he like look or surround himself with newer actors, like younger actors who are up and coming, to kind of give them, especially great actors who are up and coming, and get them out into the spotlight with his films, with his directing? Or should he, start kind of recycling people from Marvel to DC?
So this is interesting. If this was during Marvel's phase 1 through 3, I would say just cast new directors. It's new actors. It's how Marvel was successful, in my opinion. They took actors who didn't necessarily have the name value that a lot of like producers would go for. You know what I mean? Like when they were casting for this, they weren't thinking, how can we crush it at the box office? How can we drive people into the theaters? They were like, look, we can do that with our storytelling and with the love that this franchise, that before it was super successful, they still knew that they had a very powerful franchise on their hands. And I think that's where.
Up for you then. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I think that's one of the reasons Marvel was able to succeed as well as they did, because it wasn't about, we got to get Tom Cruise in because Tom Cruise drives sales. It was like, we got to cast the right person for the right role and go from there.
Okay, well, what if they were like, we want Robert Downey Jr., who's Tony Stark, we want him to play Bruce Wayne now? Mm-hmm. Would you be like,
I would ask,
well,
why
that's
you
Bruce
made
Wayne,
the choice,
or
but...
is
No, but so here's the thing. I think the issue is that now Marvel has become so established and so large that before it was like, oh, you're a Marvel actor. Now they're pulling in other actors, and not to say that like in the new Doctor Strange post-credit scene, Charlize Theron's character shows up as a character in that, and it's not that I love Charlize Theron. I think she's a tremendous actress, but I was like, ooh, I don't want established names in these roles. I want new characters coming in. But the problem is that Marvel has grown so large that it's kind of hard to avoid these actors at this point. Like not necessarily. So my short version of this answer is that I think it should be a mixed bag. I think that you can get some established actors, especially some MCU characters who have kind of come and gone, and they're not probably not going to be returning. So like, I think you could bring a Chris Evans in to be somebody. I don't think he will. I think he's pretty done with the superhero thing for a little while. We can talk about whether he shows up in a future movie, which I think he will. Just as like a quick reprisal of his role. But I think that, if as long as they're not active Marvel actors, not that they can't be, but I know that Hollywood won't allow it, or is very unlikely to allow it. I think that if you want to have a good franchise, I think you need some veterans who can kind of lead the way, especially if you do scoop up some MCU people. They know how to superhero. You know what I mean? They've got some good tips they can give some to the younger actors. But I mean, look how many actors Marvel has set on the path. Like, not that these actors can't do it on their own or didn't do it on their own, but I mean, Chris Hemsworth. Robert Downey Jr. got a career revitalization out of it. Not that he didn't have a career beforehand, but they definitely rejuvenated him. Chris Hemsworth, like I said. Chris Evans kind of got a huge boost to his career out of it. Chris Pratt. I mean, most of the major players, Tom Holland, I mean, Sebastian Stan, these are all people who had good careers before. I'm not knocking them and saying that they pulled them out of obscurity and found them in a Walmart in Arkansas or something. But
right.
I mean, these are people who got a huge shot in the arm to their career from this, and I think that is something that DC should focus on is cast for the right person, regardless. Right. So if that happens to be Tom Cruise, if Tom Cruise is the perfect Spider-Man, I guess that's MCU, but you know what I mean. If Tom Cruise is the perfect Green Lantern, then great. But more realistically, just cast whoever fits the role best. And I think that there's a huge pool of actors out there who are untapped, and that people are looking for those fresh faces, so that when you see The Flash, or when you see, please don't do another Batman. It's not that I don't want to see more Batman. It's that I love the Batman franchise. And I think that scratches my Batman itch. And we're so Batman burnt at this point. Like, give me new characters. So give me Nightwing. Give me Red Hood. Give me, if you're going to pull from the Batman universe, there are a ton of Batman characters you can pull out. So, I think at that point, like a perfect one. Michael B. Jordan. Bring Michael B. Jordan in, knowing that he had his one and done with Marvel and got like a little cameo. Spoiler: a little cameo in Black Panther 2. But he's not coming back to the series probably. And if he does, it's not going to be a long term thing. It'll be a quick reprisal of Killmonger. Pull him in. Make him Green Lantern. I would love to see Michael B. First of all, just going on record, I love Michael B. Jordan. He's amazing. He's a huge nerd, and I love that. Bring him in, have him be one of your staple people. He's a huge nerd. He's a great actor. I mean, a tremendous actor. He can kind of repackage.
See him as a Jon Stewart more than like a Cyborg, or
have him bring in as Jon Stewart,
or Black Lightning or something like that.
I think that those are all great roles, but I am partial to Green Lantern, and I think he would make. I love Jon Stewart as my favorite Green Lantern, and though I do think Idris Elba should play Green Lantern as Jon Stewart, that'd be I think that you could put in a younger, if you wanted to do a younger Justice League, which I think is not a bad idea.
Well, that's what I was going to hit on. I wanted to give you time to speak your piece about it, but
spew.
I've seen I've seen these little memes of people, fan art essentially, of younger actors. It's like a younger Justice League essentially, where they're kind of fresh into their career, and then they kind of form a team type of thing. I think that's the route they should take, a younger Justice League, because then you can build it a lot more later down the road.
And I stand by this. Bring back Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell as Green Arrow and Flash.
Well, he was
everyone else from that
art.
Universe.
He was in the fan art as
was he?
As They're
Flash. Both so good at their role. That's the thing. They carved out a genre on a network that didn't do that at the time, and it led to a bunch of stuff. I understand that you can't. This is where we get into that. We've had this discussion, that Flashpoint fuckery that happens, where you would have to make it very distinctly clear that these two, while they are WB or CW, Green Arrow and Flash, it is not the Arrowverse versions of them. These are just Flashpoint. Oh, hey, we must have all gotten different faces from different multiverses. That kind of bullshit, which is a very easy one-liner you can just put in there and then move on and never talk about it again.
So let's see. They had the original Justice League. I don't. For the better of me, I don't know who these young actors are, but they had Jason Ackles as Bruce Wayne.
Ooh, Jensen Ackles would be. So Jensen Ackles has talked about wanting to be, in the Batverse for a while. He'd voiced
be a good Red Hood.
Hood. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be. Yeah, he already voiced Red Hood, so he'd be a great live action Red Hood.
Absolutely. And he's in The Boys now as Soldier Boy, and he's doing great at that. Well, from everything I hear, I haven't actually seen it. I've seen some of The Boys, not all of The Boys. I'm not caught up.
Oh, you haven't finished it yet?
I haven't. I finished season 2. I haven't started season 3 yet. I know. There's a lot of media out there. Okay, I have to
hurry up.
Everyone's like, "Have you seen?"
See, this is why we can't talk about so many topics because this guy over here doesn't finish it.
Look, I still haven't watched House of the Dragon. Deal with it.
How dare you?
And I love Matt Smith so much, and yet I refuse. And I don't refuse. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, you'll get there. I believe in you.
You know how you feel about watching a movie at the end of the day where you like get home from work and Bryn, my wife, doesn't do TV shows. She has to be in a very particular mood to like invest in a TV show that's more than just like a fun, friendly, like in and out show. So like if I want to watch like The Boys, it's on my time. And I have been dedicating all of my time to One Piece right now. I know. I'm late to the game. I have 850 episodes to go.
You have so much to go, dude. You'll never be done.
The thing about watching a show that has almost exactly 1,000 episodes is it's really easy to track how far I am. So I'm on episode like 149. I'm 14.9% through because you just moved the decimal.
Dude, we're going to be 50. You're like, I'm through One Piece, man.
I looked up how much time it would take if even if I skipped fillers, which I will and am. And it's still like, if you calculate, each episode is roughly 20 to 25 minutes, and you're watching 647 episodes. It was like, you have to watch, like if I didn't sleep, eat, or do anything but watch One Piece, it would
like
still
you have to watch a
take me
minimum of this amount.
It's like 8 months worth of content, and I was like,
holy shit,
hold on, like,
dude.
I can math it real quick. Hold on.
Oh my god.
So let's say 20 minutes because I skipped the intro and I skipped the outro. 20 episodes times, let's say I've gotten through 150. Let's say roughly there's 700, right? That leaves like 300 episodes of filler, which is still, it's 30% of the show is filler at that point. So let's say 20 minutes times 700 episodes minus the 150 that I've already watched. We're down to, math, 550 episodes. That's 11,000 minutes of programming. If I divide that by math, 60 for an hour. Wait. Yeah, that's fine. 183 hours. 183.3333 repeating hours, which if you divide that, now that we're in hours, by 24 hours, it's 7 days, 7.6 days of full content. That's doable.
See, we're never gonna talk about. You know what? No. Hold on. I'm gonna take it upon myself. I'm coming over on a weekend, and we're gonna binge The Boys. We're watching House of the Dragon, damn it, and we're just getting that done so we can talk about it.
Dude, I have an open invitation to people to come over to my house and force me to watch content because my wife will acquiesce to guest requests. So if somebody comes over and says, let's watch House of the Dragon, we'll watch House of the Dragon. And I leave an open invitation. Nobody ever does it. Everyone's always like, I'm coming over.
Brent, I'm coming over, damn it.
Right now, actually.
All right, I'm driving right now.
Okay. Good episode, everyone. Come on.
See you guys.
What if that's how we wrap that? That would be amazing.
I just see me like running. Like my truck in the background.
We could post a selfie together and be like, episode 5 on the way.
Yeah. Which we haven't hung out in like maybe a week or so. So
yeah, because we keep podcasting instead. This is our hanging out. I don't want to see your face. I just want to the fact that you make me record this and I have to look at your dumb face the whole time.
All right, I'm going off cam now. See ya.
You should come over.
Yeah, well, I'll come over. We'll have to binge The Boys because I can watch it anytime. I love it. I love it that much. We'll finish it for you.
I'll be honest. Also, I finished season 2 probably around Christmas, so it's been like a month, give or take. I need some time between seasons. It's very dark. It's a lot dark, to take in.
It's very so. It's like, okay. Side note: if you don't know what The Boys is or have never heard of The Boys, real quick, it's literally like if you take superheroes and you drop them into reality,
right?
Okay?
Make them real people,
real people, and you have corporations, ads, anything who try to sponsor you to make money because superheroes and they don't hit on that. Usually they're billionaires. Or they have regular jobs in the comic books, but in this show they're like they're famous.
Their
so
job is that they're superheroes. Like they're corporately owned ish people.
And 95% of them are assholes, man.
Yeah, they're you know how like you know how like some celebrities you just know, like everybody's heard a rumor about or like a story about celebrities who it's like, oh, did you know Mick Jagger throws diet soda cans at people's heads because he's bored?
Yeah.
Like that with superpowers. It's the same
Yeah.
like literal hero worship. That's where the phrase comes from. It's hero worship of these people, and then they're, you know, corrupted by capitalism, as we all
I mean,
are.
just yeah. Just
If
look
Brendan
at
Lee Mulligan
like,
has taught me anything, it's that capitalism is the true enemy.
just think of like any like big NFL star or NBA star or whatever, right? And times that by like 1 billion because they're superheroes and they save people along with doing corrupt shit.
Right. With like it is the untouchableness of being a celebrity or being an athlete mixed with the untouchableness of having literal superpowers. So like really like what can they do? Like they have weaknesses and you can certainly kill them somehow but like good luck.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
the whole fun
you also
of
have
the
the corporate
show
backing who's like covering up all their stunts. So, you know,
Covering
somebody
all this,
does something, kills someone, does something horrible, then the corporation covers
I'm not
it up.
saying that happens.
Or
We don't want to
No.
spoil nothing.
No, that's speculation.
I understand how you feel where you're like, I gotta like step away. It's kind of like when I watched Attack on Titan, man. Attack on, like,
it is the exact same. I was just talking about Attack on Titan today and how I need to take a break from it at times. And they're like, because they're talking about how they're really stretching out this final season, where it was like final season of Attack on Titan, and we were all like, "Yay, 2022 final season of Attack on Titan!" And they're like, "Well, part 1 of final season." I was like, "So it's just an extra season? If you split up a season by more than a year, you've just made another season."
Right. Remember when we were working in the office together, and I was like, "Hey, man, I just started Attack on Titan." And you're like, "Oh, dude, let me know how it is." And like one day I came in, I'm like, "Dude, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I can only watch like maybe 1 or 2 episodes because I just can't take it sometimes." Like when like you get invested in like a lot, like especially the first episode, you get invested in characters, and then they just fucking die, and you're like, "Oh my god."
Not only I compare Attack on. I say that Attack on Titans is the anime version of Game of Thrones because it's like just don't get attached to anyone because for all you know they're going to be crushed to death shortly.
Dude, there's no limitation. Like, oh yeah, I really like.
Like, oh my! Oh, he got his head ripped off. Like,
like no. Like what the hell?
Maybe he's okay.
And I remember when you started it too, not long after me, and you're like, "Dude, I understand what you're saying now." You're like, "I'm traumatized."
It's raw. Like you can only watch like a certain amount of episodes before you're like, "Okay, my soul feels corrupted a little bit." Like,
dude, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm just uncomfortable. Something deep in here is uncomfortable.
Like I know it's a cartoon, but there's only so much death and blood and shit I can watch before I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
And again, to shout out voice actors, both the original Japanese voice actors, the American voice actors, and anyone in between, they do such a good job. The screams and the horror that they portray in their voices is enough to make me uncomfortable.
Dude, the screams is what gets me. I'm like, stop.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're doing a really accurate performance, and my brain, my dumb person brain, it's subconscious is like, hey, we're stressed because people are getting murdered near us. We should stop doing what we're doing.
It doesn't happen often, but every time I watch a show, I am sweating. Yeah. I am sweating and on the edge. I don't even sit back in my seat. I'm on the edge of my seat sweating. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You're like, I don't even smoke, and I would like to smoke right now to just kind of bring the calmness to me.
Smoking a cigarette, drinking some scotch. You're like, God damn it. Like you're like that old salty detective. You're that old salty, like, oh my God.
New episode dropped today. It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's wrap it up there. I'll see you in 20 minutes. Get your ass over here.
All right, man. I'm on the way. Yeah, you want to give out our socials, buddy?
Yeah. So you can find us on social media. Roll for Nerdy Check with the 4 is the number 4, and you can find us on social media. You're all young enough, you get it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the usual.
The usual. Yeah, so all video episodes of Roll for Nerdy Check podcast are on our channel, Roll for Nerdy Check. So if you want to watch the video option, feel free to go there and look it up. Hit the like button, share, comment. Please subscribe. And then
download. I didn't even know this, that apparently for podcasters, we're new to this, downloads are an important thing. So if you're on Spotify or whatever and you see our podcast, listen to it. That would be great. We love it. But if you click that download button, it's really good for us.
Yeah, so all our audio versions are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Any platform you can think of, we're on it. Trust me. And hit that download button. Hit the like too. Hit the follow on Spotify as well to notify when we put out new content.
Go ahead and smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. Stay nerdy, my friends.
Yeah. May all your nerdy checks roll high. May you nat 20 your nerdy check.
I like that.